Okay guys, really excited for this one. In this video, we're taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts Spike, Spiegel, Cowboy Bebop action figure. This is a figure that I've been waiting a long time to be made. Not from S.H.Figuarts, but just in general. A very well-made, articulated, well-accessorized figure. Taking a look at the front of the box, we see it's very much in the style of Cowboy Bebop. A brick pattern on the outside of the box. Nice open window showing Spike Spiegel. You can see his gun, many hands, even some face swaps. That's pretty damn cool. Have the nice little Tamashii logo right there. Look at the side of the box, we see Spike just standing there against the wall, smoking a cigarette. The opposite side says just Cowboy Bebop. So does the top. Take a look at the back of the box. We can see Spike throwing out one of his Jeet Kune Do kicks. See him running. See him posing with a gun. I guess there's a head with a cigarette in the mouth. Pretty cool. A lot of poses you can pull off with this figure, and I'm very excited to finally open it. I haven't even touched this guy, so this is going to be kind of a first impressions review as well. The figure does come with an instruction sheet, but I don't think you're really going to need it. If it had an S.H.Figuarts anime character figure, then you'll know that these guys are pretty easy to swap out the faces and the hands, and so that's just what this pamphlet is showing. I am already impressed with this figure. Right out of the box, I just noticed that this suit, the color of blue is the perfect shade. It's exactly the same color from the anime. I mean, it really was that subtle kind of off blue color. And wow, the face sculpt looks absolutely perfect. Look at that. That's so awesome. No paint smudges that I can see. There is a red dot there for some reason, so there's a bit of misplaced paint. The paint job done for the tie is pretty damn good. Looks good right there. Let's take a look at the back. Man. You know what? It's cool to see this figure. Looks like a lot of articulation to be had with it, but it doesn't look like it breaks up the overall look of the character. So it doesn't look too much like a figure. It could still pass as like a statue or something like that, but man, so nice. With accessories, I think the coolest thing you get are the 3 interchangeable faces to go along with the 4th that's already on the figure as well. So the first thing is you get a nice smoking Spike Spiegel face. That's awesome. I don't know how many times I asked myself, man, I really, or not asked myself, wished to myself that they would make a Spike Spiegel with a cigarette already in the mouth. That looks awesome. You also get a kind of a face where Spike is looking off to the side while he probably throws a punch or a kick or something. So that's pretty cool. It's a good looking face. And then you get Spike with a nice slight smile. Such a good sculpt. Such good paint work done on these figures. The eyes look like they're in the correct place. The eyebrows look well painted. Yeah, not a problem whatsoever with these. Now the hands and the gun come in this separate kind of shell, and I'm going to show you the hands this way just because it's probably easier to do so. But you get 1, 2, 3, 4 extra sets of hands besides the closed fists that are already on the figure. Starting from the bottom going up, you do have 2 left and right hands for holding his cigarette. So, okay, that's cool. You have these 2 kind of... You have these 2 hands that have his pinky kind of sticking out. I'm not sure exactly what that's for. Yeah, I don't know. You then have 2, let's see, are these clenched trigger finger hands? Yes, they're very tightly clenched trigger finger hands for his gun, so you can hold them in the left or the right hand. And then the very top here, it looks like just some grasping hands for maybe when he's doing some kung fu moves. So very cool. And then up top, I'll take that this out of the clam, or out of the shell, to show you the sculpt on the gun. It is, what was it? I think it was an Israeli Jericho 941. I remember looking up the gun because I thought it was an awesome design. Couldn't tell if it was a real gun or not, but it is. This is a real gun design. It's an Israeli gun. It's supposed to be modeled like kind of after the Desert Eagle, but it's a much smaller version. So very cool. Pretty good accessory so far. Here's the Jericho a little closer view, and you know, the sculpt is okay. I remember it being, it could have been possible to do a lot more detail in it. I do have a different Spike Spiegel where it comes with the gun kind of better sculpted than this, but it's still fine. The front where the shell casing comes out of is pretty well sculpted. There it is, nice focused. On the back of it though, it's just kind of blah, kind of plain. Just kind of like it was done in a rush job, but oh well. You know, it's the gun, as long as it's still within the same design and not just something they threw in with the figure just to have him with a firearm. Moving on to articulation, I have to point out that this figure does stand about 6 inches tall, slightly over maybe with that hair sticking up, but it is at that height. Pretty fair size for this guy, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he could have been a little bit taller. In fact, it probably would have allowed for a little bit more detail with the handgun. But you know what? Whatever. It's a nice size. I think he looks great still. Anyways, articulation. He does fully rotate 360, although that collar for the shirt does get in the way of the head, or I'm sorry, of the face. But like I said, you can rotate a full 360. Going to the torso, you can bend forward and you can bend back a little bit more than forward. You can rotate full 360 at the shoulders. You kind of have to maneuver it because there is a bit of a butterfly joint that allows you to pull forward his shoulders and pull back as well. You can stretch his arms out, but you got to be very careful. So he can go out like that. He does have a double bend in the elbow. Let's go ahead and rotate that arm like so. He does have full rotation in the hand, and you can bend it because it is on a, what do you call it, hinge? Is it a hinge? No, not a hinge. Let's open it up. Oof, tight. Yeah, simple joint, peg insert. Yeah, so you can move it around at the wrist. Going off to the torso, the bottom portion, I can't tell because the shirt's in the way if the actual hip is connected to another part. Let me see, actually, yeah. Yeah, kind of, sort of. I can't really feel, but there is some good art. Yeah, there is. You can move around at the hips. Pretty much, yeah, that's a ball joint. So you can move quite a bit. You can kick up pretty high. So that's the whole gimmick of this figure, is that you can throw kicks and punches. I like that. He does have a double bend in the knee, doing that. You can't rotate at the ankle for some reason. They don't really allow that. Let me see, do they? Is it sculpted? It is sculpted. It's just really well done. Damn. So you can move at the ankle, but you can't really do too much at the top of the boot, I guess I want to say. Like, it's going to look like he's kind of, his ankles are at a weird position, but that's just how the design is. So you can rotate and do a little bit of ankle pivot, and he does have some toe articulation as well. So overall, a nice figure. The legs move, the shoulders move, ankles, everything moves on this figure that should. Switching out the face is pretty simple. All you gotta do is pop off the hair and pop off the face. Choose another face. I chose his smoking one. Insert it, and then put back the hair like so, and now Spike is smoking. So, needless to say, I pretty much am in love with this figure, and I think it's awesome and amazing. But there are some negatives that come with it, and I think just because there's only a few of them, we should just get those out of the way now before I get back into the positives. So the negatives are always going to be how much is the figure and what does it come with. So this guy was, man, I think, yeah, I think right around 6,000 yen. So somewhere around $60 for the figure. Compared to other S.H.Figuarts, that's not a high price tag, especially nowadays. But that's the thing. I'm noticing this trend of you get less and less and less, but you're having to pay more and more and more. I really wish this figure just came with a few more accessories, and it's just always that little bit that would have made it up. For one, I wish he came with like his trench coat. So like you could put the trench coat on his on his torso, and then switch out his arms and put in some trench coat covered arms or whatever. That would have been amazing. In fact, that would have been the accessory to really justify that $60, I think, in my book, because then you would have had a different look for him altogether. And he is known for having a trench coat. On top of that, he should have come with a display base on his own. It's unfortunate, but most of the poses you want to put him in, which are him fighting or leaning, I would say it's safe bet you're going to need a display stand. Maybe not so much for the leaning, you could probably pull that off, but for doing his kicks and whatnot, you're going to need a display stand, especially if you're trying to make him look like he's running. It's really needed. This guy's design in the series, he's very he's a gangly character. He's very skinny, he has long arms and legs, and he's kind of always in a weird pose. He's not always having his arms and legs in straight position, and they kind of translated that into the figure a little bit. It's not too much of an off-putting look, but for some who didn't really understand the design of the show, they might see that as an issue. But that's pretty much it. Those are all the negatives. As for the positive, this figure, just every single sculpt of the faces just looks absolutely perfect. They got the character of Spike Spiegel down for these faces. The coloring, there's hardly any paint smudges. Of course, this could be just my figure and I got lucky. But the paint smudges in general, the articulation is great. It's appropriate. It's just the right amount of articulation that is needed for this figure. It's not crazy or over the top. That's what I love the most, because sometimes these figures can have way too much articulation and then it just destroys the aesthetic of the figure. It's just there's too many gaps and whatnot, and this guy just, he looks good. He looks, like I said, almost like a statue. It's a simple design to swap out the faces, nothing crazy there. The hands, there's a good amount of hands, so you can do the smoking poses, you can do fighting poses, you can do a few more other poses, I guess, and that's always a plus as well. So overall, if you're not a fan of the series, you'll probably become a fan if you watch probably like the first 5 episodes. That's how the series is. It's such a good series, and now we finally got a figure to coincide with it. It's awesome, and I can't wait for this the Vicious figure to come out. So they're going to be together. I hope they do other figures as well. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. Definitely get this figure. It is very cool before it sells out and becomes like, you know, $100 or something on eBay. Hit like, dislike, subscribe, share, do whatever. Comment down below, and I will see you all later. Bye.